Real quick, just so everybody knows, anybody who works at Rock or knows anything about this business through Rock Financial, you should all thank this guy right here. He taught us all. He taught us all how to do it, what we're doing, defined it well for us. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no better person to have this conversation with, to be honest.
Far too kind. Appreciate that. Thanks for the kind word.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Greg's been doing this for how many years now, Greg?
It's going on 14 years. Just completed my 13th. Back in 2010, I got my start. And I can't believe it's 13 years later. And here we are.
Crazy, man. Crazy. And now I know you've been in management for a bit now, but as far as selling the product directly, 14 years ago, we're talking about what, 2009?
2009, 2010.
Yeah. So, quite a different economy, right? Like, things were a little different then, or?
Yeah, a lot different then. I mean, back then, you had the economy, you're going through the Great Recession, in 08, 09, with the housing market crash. And back then, most business owners were leveraging a home equity line of credit to fuel their businesses. And when those programs dried up, left nowhere for businesses to get funding.
Yeah.
And then alternative financing was born. And I've seen a lot of ups and downs throughout the industry, and products and programs, guidelines change, expand, contract. So we've been through it all. And
seen lenders come and go, right?
Yeah, lenders come and go.
What's unique about this market or this industry is how young it is, right? Greg's been in this for almost 14 years now. I'm going on 8, and we're looked at as like fossils. We're people that people turn to learn about the industry and the history of it, because it's not really all that old. You talk about fintech or financial technology. Well, that technology piece really only came on in the last 15 years. It was in 2007 that the first iPhone came out, and we're on whatever 15 now, I think, in terms of iPhones. But in that time, we've seen nothing but a compounding interest on technology, and that has directly affected our business. Like, I remember when I started, there was lines to the fax machine. We had filing cabinets all over the office, and we were keeping track of paper documents. And instantly when we onboarded with DocuSign, that changed everything. And it's kind of skyrocketed from there, into technology that reads and aggregates data, to how we share data with other organizations using technology. It's honestly crazy. All right, let's get this thing going. I don't want to, you and I, we could BS about this thing all day.
Reminisce all day.
Yeah. We got 120 people on. They don't want to hear this yet. We'll, what we're going to do, guys, and if you're new to our webinars, thank you for being here. If you're somebody that's done this or been on with us in the past, definitely excited to have you back. Our process, or kind of how we go about these things, is we do a quick little presentation, nothing too crazy, just something hopefully to get your mind thinking about the topic that we have. And then once we get through the presentation, we will do a quick Q&A session, as long as you guys want. As long as you're asking questions, as long as we have things to talk about, we'll continue to talk about them. And the one thing I will say is, if you have questions, dump those into the Q&A. We utilize the Q&A. We're big users of the Q&A. It gives us one place to go to and kind of manage the webinar, for lack of a better term. So if you have questions, you can certainly ask those questions. We will answer them in order that they come in the Q&A. So as you have questions, as things are coming up, feel free to utilize the Q&A. We'll be monitoring and might answer it right there on the spot, or we might wait till the Q&A at the end. But I'll get things going with our presentation here. As always, we're available. We're real people. The first part about getting in front of this camera is so you know who we are. I'm Tony. This is Greg. As far as lead generation and closing deals go, you got the two best in the business. And we want you to be able to reach us. This is our direct contact info. You can call us, text us, email us. Don't do it all at once because there's a lot of you and only one of us, but no, no. Feel free to reach out to us directly. You know, we've been doing this for a long time, and 100% of our business comes through partnerships. What I've learned because of that is my version or Greg's version of a partnership is never the most successful. Your version is. Right. So if you're able to tell us how you think you can utilize rock, let's do that, because that's what we'll deliver on. As we get going, a few things that I want us to keep in mind, and this is kind of how we're going to flow through today's webinar. We'll intro the team. We'll go into some products and services. We'll go into what it means to be a partner with Rock, some success stories, testimonials, and we'll give you a chance to do just that, partner with us. Really quick in the Q&A, if you guys don't mind, just let me know, are you a partner or not? Just say I'm partnered or not a partner. We love to see, you know, what kind of audience we kind of got going, and I'll shout you out if you throw your answer in there. Shout out to David, partner. James is a partner. Lawrence West, partner. Thomas, new partner. A lot of partners, a lot of partners.
Shout to Hector.
Whoa, we're popping up quick.
Yeah, we are running out of room.
Yeah, we got a lot of people. Some new partners, some people that not currently a formal partner, have been making referrals though. Love it, love it. So it seems like we got a decent mix here. And that's what this is all about, guys. I'm hoping that the interaction that you guys will have and some of the conversation that you'll help us spark will allow us all to kind of learn from one another. Partner, of course, shout out to Alfonso. Love it. Jarrett, not a partner. Hopefully this changes that. No, either that or we're going to turn you off. That's for sure.
Easy on yourself.
Yeah. All right. So what are we talking about? Well, we're hoping to answer some of these questions. How do I become a partner? How do I earn commission? What types of businesses qualify for the most money or the most funding? Do I need to be an expert in this? How much do I need to know? Where do I get started? All of these things are going to be answered today. And hopefully you guys will have a few more questions. We always start with who we are. And I think in order to understand who we are and what we represent, it's as easy as going to our website and looking at the mission, vision, and values. We literally, that line on our vision that says we help business owners, or our vision is to help business owners. Like, I wish I could pull call recordings for you guys of all of the times that's said throughout the day on all of our sales calls. When somebody asks us, what do you guys do? The instant reaction out of every person's mouth is we help business owners with, and it's usually that next part is getting funding for their business. But it's always that we help business owners because that's what we take pride in. We're built to give them information so that they can make strategic decisions for their business. It's really nothing more than that. We exist solely to be a resource back to those businesses. I mean, there's lenders out there. We're not a lender. There's business owners out there. I mean, some of us own businesses and we are a business, but we don't exist without business owners utilizing what we do, right? And that's helping them get access to the right lenders, the right information, and really just creating a seamless process from application to approval and approval to funding, right? And being a part of that for as long as they need us. One of the best things I've ever heard Greg say is we're like investors that are here when you need us and gone when you don't.
That's right.
You know, whenever you need access to funding, we're there to help you out. As we get going, I always like to point out our team and the rock stars that make up that team. I mean, if you go on Trustpilot, we got 5 stars. You go on Google, we got 5 stars. You go on Best Company, we're top ranked. We were Long Island's top workplace. So, you know, if you're not familiar with Long Island, we're a little sliver out next to Manhattan in New York. But what does that mean? Well, that means you're working with a real company. I think that in this weird age that we're in, you know, businesses can pop up anywhere. Our industry has a very low barrier of entry. You don't really know who you're working with. Well, with us, you do. You can go online, you can find our reputation, you can find our reviews. Shoot, you could probably find us in your local community. We're in, every state. We're sometimes international, you're going to find us. And if not, let me know, because I'll make sure that we don't leave that stone unturned. But it's more important that you guys know that we're real people, and we're people first. That's what makes our process so great. Is, yes, we implement a ton of technology, but that technology is operated by smart people utilizing technology to enhance what they're able to do. So I'm gonna not take too much of a backseat, because I like the spotlight here, but but I'm definitely gonna lean on you a little bit, Greg,
Sure.
because recently we've had Steve on here, we've had Ryan on here from the team, to talk about commercial real estate and talk about secured lending and talk about equipment financing. What is it that you think is so important about the mix of products that we offer?
Mix of products that we offer, it's we're not boxing a business owner into one specific box, or just trying to um, give them funding that doesn't necessarily fit. So with partnering with Rock and working with Rock and our team of professionals, there's a product program that can fit every single use case for a business out there anywhere across the 50 states.
Great
And
answer.
we do that through, as you can see on the screen, on some of the secured options: SBA, commercial real estate, asset-based loans, equipment financing, and on the unsecured side, lines of credit, term loan options, and working capital solutions.
And now, as a business owner, just to play a little bit of devil's advocate for a second, as a business owner, why does it, like, why would only one of these products box me in, or why do I need access to multiple products, I guess?
Well, think about it, right? If you're the local restaurant and you're leasing the building and you don't have any collateral to put up for a secured option, you can't go that route. If you're working with a broker or a company or a bank even that only lends in that specific arena, you're kind of boxed in and they're not going to help you. So coming to a company like Rock and working with our team of professionals, there are multiple options that can really service every need out there.
So what you're saying is not everybody offers multiple options.
Correct.
And just so everybody knows, most people, they typically find a niche and only focus on that, right? If you lend commercial real estate dollars, you don't really want to be tied up with lines of credit and term loans, because you want to lend commercial real estate, right? And that doesn't mean that you won't try to figure out a way to lend somebody who needs a line of credit, a commercial real estate type of deal. It just means that you're not going to offer them a line of credit. That's what that means. So, like Greg was saying, is it's our mix of products and lenders that give us access to all these different options. When a business owner has a need, though, we take a needs-based approach, and we take that need and we pair it with the best option that's available, or even options. There's some times where somebody will take a line of credit and a term loan, or a line of credit and equipment financing, or a term loan and then eventually commercial real estate or an SBA loan, right? So I think what's most important is that you guys understand the mix of products really does allow us to just service a wide range of needs. And we don't really know what a business owner is going to need till they need it. And that's what's unique about business is, if you go to a traditional bank or lender, a lot of times they don't want to lend you the money if you need it. They want to lend you the money when you don't need it. So,
Unfortunate, but true.
yeah, it's this weird, cat and mouse game that banks and business owners are playing, where banks don't want to lend the money when you need it, and you don't want to borrow it when you don't, right? So how do we kind of bridge that gap? Well, that's why the broker seat is so crucial, is because regardless of what you're using the money for, we can position you with the right product, and by positioning you with the right product, it's going to service that need. Timing is going to be on your side then, based on the fact that you're borrowing the right kind of money or the right type of product or loan. So what does it mean to partner with us? Well, it means that you can monetize on your network. You can access our technology, but more importantly, and I always say this, like, you are in charge. We are your team. Like I said earlier in the recording here, earlier in the webinar, my version of a successful partnership or Greg's version of a successful partnership doesn't matter. As long as we're delivering on what you need, that will make us effective together. I can assure you that. Delivering on our needs doesn't really do anything for us. Yeah, it might in the short term, but that's short-term thinking. We're not here for the short term. Like I said, combined over 20 years, we're doing this, 20 some years, just between the two of us. So it's important that you understand, like, hey, if I work with Rock and I work through Rock, I can leverage what they have. And that's really what it comes down to. So you can access our aggressive commission structure anytime you refer us a deal directly. And what I mean by that is, if you know business owners in and around your network that need access to funding, you can refer those businesses to Rock. We can work those transactions for you from open to close, and you'll get paid a commission on every deal that gets funded. Right now, that's not the only way that you can earn through us. Right. And I think this is why people really partner with Rock is, you can really send a deal anywhere these days and get paid for it. Right. But there's other areas of opportunity for you. Most people don't know this, but and Greg, you can speak to this directly because you manage this part of the business for us, but lenders and banks pay volume bonuses, right? So the more deals that you do with a specific lender or bank or, a specific service provider, they'll pay you more, right? So if they're only paying you X, but you do more than what you're required, they'll pay you Y. Well, anytime your deals are a part of that, any revenue that's associated with any transactions you refer to us, whether we're talking bonuses or incentives or even like pilot programs, right? You get access to all of this stuff. You're going to get premier pricing, higher dollar amounts. I mean, all of these things are actually what win deals. And I'm not going to say that, it's an incentive that's going to get us to push a deal in a certain direction, because that's certainly not the case. We do enough volume where we're pretty much tiering bonuses on a lot of these lenders. But what we really do a good job of is making sure that any revenue that is associated with any of your referrals, that's added into what your revenue share becomes a part of. So as somebody who is in this industry, if you are partnered with somebody, just know that they could be earning bonuses or incentives on what you got going on. Are you taking part in those? Right. Well, here you get access to it all of the premier pricing, all of the pilot programs. We don't hide anything. If we get access to it, you get access to it. Our best kept secret, at least in my opinion, right? You might not agree. But our best kept secret is the override program. And I say that because we have 15,000 active partners. You might say to yourself, well, how do you manage that? A lot of people working really hard. That's the honest answer. But how did we get to that? Well, we got to that because our number one lead source for partners is other partners. So you might be sitting here saying to yourself, you know what? I can refer business to Rock and I can make some money, but I know of 3 or 4 other people who have bigger networks or larger opportunities, or maybe something that you don't want to necessarily be involved with directly, that if you referred them to Rock, we would customize a relationship just like we have with you. And then anything that they refer and fund, you get an override on. What does that mean? Well, that's as close as you're going to get to mailbox money these days. That's for sure. There's no such thing as mailbox money anymore. You gotta work for what you're going to get, but this is close. You introduce us, we take over, we get their deals funded, you get paid. And then the last thing is you have investment opportunities, right? Not everybody knows about this, but there is a certain portion of our business that you can participate on the deals that you refer. So if this is something that, you want to learn more about any of these specific scenarios, I would say reach out to us, because our team is more than excited to talk about any and all of those opportunities. I do want to just take a second, and I promise I'm going to let Greg talk. Don't worry, guys. We'll get there. He's not just here for his good looks. We got to get to the funding part. That's where Greg likes to get involved. So I gotta get through this. But I wanted to point out our portal, right? And transparency and insight. If you're somebody who you work with us and you decide like, hey, I'm going to refer business to Rock, well, you're going to be able to track all of that business. You're going to get all the marketing and sales support you could ever need in our interactive portal powered by Salesforce, where you can literally log into our CRM and get access to marketing materials, white labeling, landing pages, your pipeline, your funded deals, all of your commission dashboards and pipeline dashboards, the application, you can send out DocuSigns on your behalf. All of this lives in there. And I know I'm missing features, but all of this is in there. It's right at your fingertips. Everybody who partners with Rock gets access to this. So you really have a good idea of what's going on. If you're somebody that's using the portal and you see something in the portal, you can chat back and forth right on that deal about that opportunity as to what's going on and how to make the most of it. The most important thing, though, is that you understand that this gives you the ability to access us 24/7. You can always refer over a deal. You can always help us get a deal done, or always understand where your customer is in the pipeline. Now for the meat and potatoes. Why we all came here. I think I actually skipped one. There we go. That's the first one. All right. So we came here to talk about big deals, right? And I think the first thing that we should do is define that, right? What is a big deal? Well, every deal is a big deal. No, I'm just kidding. No, we lend from $5,000 to $5 million on the unsecured side. Some of the secured options will get up 5, 10, 15, even 20 million, depending on how you qualify and what the deal structure is. But more importantly, I want you guys to kind of keep that target of like $5 million in mind, just because that's a huge deal. If you are somebody that you're looking for money in your business, accessing, I mean, you can go on YouTube and find this information out. Accessing 50 or 100 or $150,000, it's difficult, but it's not all that difficult. Once you hit $150,001, we're talking about a completely different deal structure. We're talking about a completely different underwriting process. Shoot, you might even be talking about a completely different underwriter, right? You look at some of these lenders and, you might be a junior underwriter underwriting deals on under 150,000. You're looking at senior underwriters when we start talking about that over 150K, right? So as we go in, the things that I want you guys to keep in mind are the industries, are the time in business, how much commission was made, but then ultimately why all of these businesses borrow the money in the first place. And that's their use of funds. Tell me why use of funds is so important, Greg.
Because it's very, very impactful. The underwriters and the lenders want to feel confident and secure that the business owner is going to make the right investment into their business, and that their capital is going to be deployed properly in a way that they can feel confident about that investment into the business that they're funding.
Now, when you do invest in a business, right? Because that's essentially what they're doing. They're putting their dollars in. They're not purchasing, equity in the business, but it's debt side of things. But as they invest in this business, what are they really looking for, right? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is when you have these scenarios, right? And they're looking at the use of funds, what are they looking for, right? Like, is it opportunity? Is it challenges? Is it a way for them to make more money? Like, is it for them to, give me a little bit more, like what is it that they're looking for?
Absolutely. So more of the meat and potatoes into a deal specific
Yeah.
file as an underwriter may look at it. But all the things that you mentioned, time in business, industry, the overall revenues and cash flow, most importantly, the ability to service that debt is very important. When you're talking about deals of $150,000 or higher, different underwriters, sure, but also too different sets of documents. Sometimes you're going to need most recent 6 months of bank statements, along with a year-to-date P&L and balance sheet, as well as the previous year's tax return for the business. So there are different things that kind of go into it. And then once you start getting into 250 to 500K plus, certain AR and AP aging reports are typically requested. for underwriting to make a sound decision whether to invest in that business or give an opportunity to lend on that business.
Now, what if I'm a business, Greg, who can afford it, but I don't have the documentation? Let's say, for example, and I'm asking this because I know it's a loaded question. Let's say my accountant hasn't filed taxes from last year, or maybe I haven't quite buttoned that up. Can we still help?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. So a big part of that, what you went into before, is the opportunity, the situation, or any challenges. And as long as we're able to navigate that throughout a conversation and portray that back to the underwriters and the lenders, and as long as it can make sense, and if the client is willing to get on the line with myself, the underwriting team at the lender's office, then I'm sure we can navigate that and look to make something happen. So long as it all makes sense, right? We don't want to tell the underwriters that, we're going to take 500,000 and hop on the next flight to Vegas. That's definitely not going to happen. But if the financials are not audited, or if the tax return is still an extension or not filed for some reason that makes sense, we can navigate that and come to common ground.
Love it. Now, just to get into the nitty gritty on this deal a little bit, right? Earning potential, right? I think it's important that we understand that side of things too, right? Deals under that $250,000 mark versus, let's say, a $2 million deal. Would you say that their earning potential in terms of percent of commission are the same, or are they different?
They're different. They're
usually on the larger deals, you're getting paid a little bit less.
Correct. Usually on the larger deals, sometimes with lenders, they may, allow you to only put a certain threshold of commission on that deal versus your 100K deal, for example, might be a little bit more. But as you can see on the screen here, the commissions are still huge and vast.
Well, that's what I really wanted to point out here is, despite the fact that as you creep up in dollar amount, typically lenders like to pay less and less, right? Like we see it all the time, where we're arguing for an extra point or two for us and our partners. Turns out their markup doesn't change very much. No, they don't want to have that part of the conversation. But no, we still find a way to pay, 1.5, 2 points, 3 points almost on, this is almost 3 points on this deal here. And let's face it, the transportation industry, you can't really get money elsewhere right now. Like tell me about that. How's business been in the transportation industry recently?
For sure. Yeah. So a lot of lenders have, they've struggled with this and transportation. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, how many ups and downs throughout the transportation industry have we seen? A lot.
All of them.
Lenders will, kind of open up a little bit and maybe take on more risk for transportation, and then slowly but surely they may realize some losses in areas that they shouldn't have been, so they may start to scale back, maybe not approve as high or go as long term. But transportation has been one of those industries that for a long time, for years, it was either hot for 6 months and then for 6 months it's cold and then they open back up again. This particular business, sound business, has been in business for a long time and had a real opportunity to expand into new areas and take on another contract and purchase these vehicles when their bank and their equipment vendor wouldn't approve them any longer.
Yeah, and that's something that we're seeing regardless of industry, guys. I saw a statistic not that long ago. It was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, that this time last year, credit utilization, this is personal credit utilization, nationwide was hovering right around 60% or 62%. That same statistic right now is over 93%. It's like 93.3%. So what does that mean? Well, if you have higher utilization, that means your credit score goes down. And if your credit score goes down, that means you're a higher risk borrower, right? So if they deem your industry higher risk, like Greg was just telling you, transportation is up and down and up and down. Right now, it just happens to be on one of those downs, and your credit score is down. Your options are more than limited. Like we're really, really talking about, like, I don't want to say back against the wall, but like, it's certainly not the ideal time to be borrowing. So that's why it's so important to really look at the use of funds, right? Does it even make sense to borrow right now? Because in 6 months, it might change. And in 6 months, it will. Greg and I will be back. We'll be doing another webinar. We'll be talking about exactly the same topic, and we'll have all different things to talk about. That's the beauty of our business.
Always changing, that's for sure.
Always changing, right? Let's keep it moving. We'll move to another deal here. Just so you guys know, Greg and I sat down with Marilyn on our team yesterday and pulled these yesterday. We wanted you to have the most up-to-date information. If we could have did it this morning in our schedules, we probably would have did it this morning. But no, we wanted to make sure that like we were pulling like really, really recent information. What is it? How is it done? Give you the meat and potatoes, like Greg was saying before, of exactly what's happening, right? So quick overview on this deal, right? Insurance is the industry, right? But we're not necessarily talking like personal financial planning. We're more talking insurance brokerage here. So that's what this was. It was an insurance brokerage. Customer owned a couple of locations already. They were looking to expand into a new market, right? Basically, they were going into a new city. They had a couple of locations that they were going to be opening. And I don't want to call it a core industry for us, but it's certainly not a fringe one. We do a lot of business with professional services, people that are, out there that are in insurance, or even like bookkeeping and accountants. We do a decent amount of business for, anybody who has that type of personal or professional services type of industry usually does decently well with us, as long as their I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
Absolutely.
Now, in this scenario, I know we ran into a challenge with ownership, right? It was something around where we were trying to get to the full 51% of ownership on this deal. I tell me about that, right? Like I know sometimes certain lenders, especially like the SBA, for example, has that threshold where anybody over 20% or 25%, I think it's 20%, has to be on the deal, right? Like a lot of lenders, they need that 51%. Didn't we do this deal with 50% ownership?
I believe we did. Yeah, we did this deal with 50% ownership. Again, it was one of those situations where, hey, the lender may have required 51%. Why are you only at 50%? We need another applicant. And as long as it makes sense and it's tangible and it's in front of everybody and it can easily be spoken about and identified, lenders are okay with it so long as it makes sense.
And that comes with being able to tell them the story about how they need to hear it, right? Had they applied on their own, I'm not saying that they would have been declined for this, but I am telling you that this was initially declined, right? So like one of the things that is a major advantage to having somebody like Rock or Greg or us in your corner is being able to go back and go, wait. No. This is what's going on here, right? Because a lot of times these deals are declined for, don't meet a risk score or doesn't meet model criteria. Like it's this vague, bland understanding of, hey, we just don't want to do this deal. and we're able to go back in and show them, hey, this is the real picture here. And allow them to make that decision. So, shout out to Eric who got this deal done for us. And, any of these big deals, there's always so many different moving parts, right? This was a cool one.
This was a really cool one.
This was a cool one. And we weren't really sure about how we should list the industry, but we basically went off their code as to the way that their businesses ran, right? They're in a landscaping business. You might say, how did a landscaping business get almost $5 million? Well, they're not your average landscaping business.
No, they're not.
They do land clearing. They do, a lot of the development and design work. When you talk about landscape design, that's a big piece of it. Not everybody can design for you. Just about anybody can cut your grass, so that's a big part of it. This customer had a ton of business that they were doing with, I'm talking about some of the biggest names that you can think of when it comes to theme parks and, water parks. And, they had this sick contract basically that was, hey, we need to get all of our I's dotted and T's crossed, and basically we need to get this thing designed because we need to start to build for the new year. The contract was starting to come into, into the scope here, and they realized, wait, we're in a cash flow crunch. We make $100+ million a year, and we're in a cash flow crunch, right? Well, that's what happens, right? Like, all of a sudden somebody's slow on one bill, or you had to spin up an extra crew to finish a job, so now you're paying overtime, or whatever the scenario is, right? Like, even larger deals and larger businesses go through these scenarios, right? So that's what we're here for. We're here to really understand, how are you applying the funding. Well, what was really cool about this deal and them applying the funding was how quickly they were going to be able to pay it back. Right. So what we did was we structured them with heavy early payoff discounts, so that if they are able to pay it back early, they're not paying for the full cost of capital, but while still paying it off early. So these are just a couple of insights. As you can see here, we're paying big dollars out. A lot of our lenders, a lot of our products, you'll see that, we have an average funding size of like $75,000, $70,000 to $75,000. So most of the deals that we do or talk about, or you might have even seen videos on or seen us brag about in the past, may have been from that, $25,000 to $250,000 number. We wanted to do a special webinar talking more about these big deals. Now that we've gone through some of these, Greg, like, what are some things that stick out to you as like, all right, if we're going to do a big deal, this is what we're looking for. What are some of the things that instantly jump off the page at you?
So instantly that jumps off the page on, especially on this particular opportunity, is the opportunity itself, right? So, these big deals, they have cash flow crunches, and it's a bigger problem in a bigger business because there's a lot more money at stake, right?
Would you like $1 million if you could get it?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
That doesn't mean that you have the right use for it. Right?
Exactly. My use is not going to be as good as this guy's use. I can tell you that right now.
Or it might be.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, though, in this particular case, the opportunity in front of this business owner was a great opportunity. Definitely happy to be a part of that transaction. They're bigger businesses, they're going to have bigger bills, right? They probably have more payroll, a larger material order, possibly a longer lag time in getting paid on these receivables. And then after so long, it's going to create a cash crunch and a need to get more capital to keep that business fueling and keep the growth coming. They know that if they can take these funds, deploy it, but also receive it back and prepay on it, they're going to increase their margins, and then also increase their borrowing ability as they take on more work as their business continues to grow and scale.
Now, another thing that none of these deals, but some deals, right? Like, one thing that I want to point out is your relationship is also a very big part of you getting access to big money, right? If you were somebody that, like, we have deals legitimately that have started with borrowing $5,000 from us. And I know of one that closed just in August, and it was an additional add-on, and their total amount of money that they borrowed so far this year was over 1.6 million. And 2 years ago, the first loan they took from us was $5,000.
Yeah, we see it all the time. It may not be as big or vast as 2 to 5 years ago, but bring it back to the beginning of the webinar. 10 years ago, a big deal was $75,000, $100,000. Most lenders' caps were $150,000, maybe $200,000 if they had some real backing to them. These days, a lot of lenders, will go out up to that $5 million unsecured. And that's just one of the small changes that I've seen over the past decade plus.
An important one.
It really is. 150K is commonplace these days. A lot of lenders are able to facilitate that. But when you're talking about, $1 million, 2 million, up to 5 million, it's not quite common, especially unsecured. It's a high risk, high risk for a lot of lenders to put that kind of money on one deal. But there are lenders that are out there and that'll take on that risk and help these businesses, grow and develop.
It's a fantastic point. Couple things before we go too far or get into the Q&A here that I just want to point out. One thing that jumped off the screen at me, and I mentioned this to you yesterday when we were going through this, is the years in business, right? Everybody wants to know, startup this, what can you do for that? Like the big deals are done with existing businesses, the ones that have been around, that have had the opportunity to develop the track record that allows them to borrow that much money. Like that's the real, thing that jumped off the page at me, was like, hey, we got 23 years on this business, we got 9 years on this business, 16 years on this business. Like we're talking about, like, we're not talking about a business with a year or two in business. Not that we can't get you $1 million if you're just getting going, or you can afford it at that stage. We can help you get there. But I think when some of the questions I'm seeing is, how do I generate that type of deal, or how do I come across these types of businesses? Well, number one, it's defining who you're actually looking for, right? Like, if you're talking about a business that has 1 employee versus 10 employees versus 100 employees, those are completely different businesses. Now, if they're in an industry where, it's high ticket, they might only need a handful of employees to make a lot of money and, generate a good amount of revenue and support a deal like this. Other industries, like, this landscaping industry deal here, they have, I don't know how many employees, but I think it's over like 100 and something employees.
They're
Like
a big company.
they're a massive organization. Like they have a lot going on. They were buying, they had deals for their equipment. They had deals for commercial real estate they owned. I mean, when we started looking at some of the I's that were dotted and T's that were crossed in this business, like you wouldn't believe it, right?
And while you're on that point, all of these businesses have some sort of senior debt associated to them. They
Oh,
all have bank lines of credit, or perhaps a bank loan, or maybe they had an SBA loan,
commercial
and
mortgage.
a commercial mortgage. Exactly. So a lot of these businesses, if they're taking advantage of these funds for opportunities, especially in this last example for growth, they don't have time to sit around and wait for the bank and ask for an extension from their banker, and get audited financials from their CPA.
Or maybe they've been declined for that already.
Exactly. Maybe the bank just doesn't want to extend them that additional money on their line of credit or their bank deal.
Kind of like this deal here, where they were declined at the bank, they were declined at their equipment vendor.
Right.
These are people that have serviced their debt in the past, and they were just like, you know what, we're kind of tapped out right now.
Exactly.
So it's important that you guys really have this understanding. I also want to, this is the free game that you're going to get out of me today. If you really want to know how to get access to big deals, right? One of the ways that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that I believe is a cheat code to find out how much money a business makes and how much we're going to lend them, is take a look at the structure of that business. What I mean is, if that business employs a full-time CFO, they're making big money. If that business has a fractional or outsourced CFO, they're making a good amount of money. If that business has no form of either of those things, and they have like a part-time bookkeeper, or they're doing QuickBooks by themselves, I don't know how large of a business that is, right? So one of the ways that I've come up with a hack to try to find large deals for us is I connect with CFOs, because I know if somebody has enough money to pay a CFO to be in their business and worry about that side of things, that's a large organization. And second part to that hack, a lot of CFOs that are hired with the idea of, hey, go out and get us this type of funding. Like, this is what we're looking for. This is what we need. That's like part of what they do is get the business funding to take advantage of opportunities. So that's a hack for you to go find small businesses that are accessing large loans. Do they have a CFO?
100%.
If you can connect with that person, great home run style opportunity for yourself. Don't believe us. Don't take our word for it. If you are new and you haven't decided whether you want to work with us or not, please go online, look us up, do some research, find out who else is out there, take a look at their reviews, take a look at what people are saying about them, jump on the forums. Are they at events? Like we're real people. You will see that in our reviews. You'll see us named. Shout out to Justin and Austin who are in these reviews here. But that is just a taste of who we are and how we do business. You'll see people who, everything from, have taken millions of dollars and left us a review to people that have been disqualified, not taken any money. Right. And they say they still take time to leave us a review. Why would they do that? Well, they do that because they appreciate the fact that we gave them real information. They were able to make smart decisions for them and their business. And again, don't take my word for it. Take my word for this one. if you're not partnered with us yet, pull out your phone. It only takes just a couple of minutes. It's going to take you to a quick little short form here. Somebody from our team will be reaching out in the next 15 to 20 minutes. Completing this form gets you access to that portal, gets you access to your own dedicated point of contact on our team that, like I said, will be reaching out. And I know that they're excited for you to do that. I'm going to stay on this slide for an extra second or two, just while you guys are doing that. And then let's say you just wanted to skip that. Let's say you didn't want to fill out a form. You're not that type of person. You just wanted to reach out. You can call us. This is our direct toll-free line. You don't pay any fees. Toll-free line. You can reach us at on email at info@rock.biz, or you can go right to the website at rock.biz. And then the last thing that I have to say to you guys before we'll jump into this Q&A here is connect with us on social media. Everybody always wants to know what's going on in the industry. What are you guys seeing? This is where we pump the most information. I mean, countless videos, countless tips for your business or generating business or dealing with business owners, dealing with pushback. Like all of that stuff is on our social media accounts. So if you're on Facebook, we're on Facebook. If you're on LinkedIn, we're on LinkedIn. If you're on YouTube, we're on YouTube. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Did I miss any?
I don't think so.
I'm looking around the room to see. But no, connect with us on whatever platform you'd like. Go check out Craig on TikTok, our newest member of the team. We have lots of fun, guys. We're real people. We want you to be a part of that. And the one thing I'll tell you is we always follow back. We're definitely down to be a part of your network as well. If you're somebody that's looking for more information or you didn't get your question answered, please reach out to us. I know Christina has some people reaching out directly based on some of the questions that came in. So shout out to you guys for asking all these questions. Thank you so much for being on with us. We really appreciate it more than you know. The only thing that I ask is that when you get the notification for the next one, you share it with somebody else that might want to join us as well. And until the next time, keep rocking, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.